Hello YouTube vintage stereo collectors and restorers. So I've been working on this Heathkit FM-4. I cleaned up the chassis. I replaced all the electrolytic capacitors in it. I put on another vintage Heathkit cord. The one that was on it was damaged right here. It was cracked and there's copper showing through. And somebody had spread it apart so it doesn't touch. Well, I had none. This came off a Heathkit something. Had it for a while. It's still pliable. It's not stiff. So now it has the original type cord on it. Underneath there's a few caps. I guess I'll show it to you here. I don't know if that'll show up on the camera. The blue 47 microfarads, a 20 over there. Some power resistors just past the silicon diode. The original 220 ohm ones had really drifted. One was around 270, one was around 320. Not a big difference, but added up, you get a little bit of sag in the power supply. It doesn't perform as well. So I thought before I put the tubes back in, I'd run them through my trusty Eico tube tester. This is a 625. It's similar to the bigger 666 model. It's this one I've had a little while. I restored it, cleaned it up, put new bulbs in it, grommets. This one actually has a tube rectifier in it. Forget what kind. It's a little, very small one, which is kind of unusual, and a solid state one for another branch of the power supply. It tests back to the 4-pin tubes like the type 27 and 80 up to the 7-pin, so it's a good one to have on the bench. So anyway, we've got 3 6AU6s in this thing. So this has got a little Rolodex, and this is like something I used to do. We had this big Rolodex at the phone company where they had records, you know, of what the phone numbers were on in a particular exchange or a street. It was a huge Rolodex type of thing. This is just a little one. This is the way things used to be done. So you've got to set it up. So you've got to start right here at the left. Shunt. Has something to do with the grid bias. This is filament voltage 6.3. Selector 2. So you can actually do a line adjust. Might as well show you that. It's turning on and the tube's warming up in it. It doesn't take very long. You'll see the meter come up. So basically this adjusts for the 120 volt line. Ooh, careful. Here's how to break it. This is kind of neat because line voltage tends to be higher these days. Not everywhere, but you center it like that and then you turn it off again. That shouldn't hurt those. Well, I guess we'll find out, won't we? And we're down, so we've got a shunt of 26, 6.3, selector over at 2. And then this is how we set the selector up here. The up positions, 1, 2, 5, and 6. So that's actually pins 1, 2, 5, and 6. So that's what voltages they receive. And then 3 and 7 down. 7-pin tube. Okay, so then what we do is we figure out, oh, which socket does it go in? Okay, it goes in the little socket. That makes sure we're on 6.3 volts. Let's flip it on. There it is, it comes on. If there's a short anywhere plate to cathode, this bulb will come on. We'll give it a second here. This is the merit tester. So what this basically does, it tests a tube. It's a transconductance tester. It tests it with an AC signal. That tube's really good. So it's over in the 800 section, basically 80%. So that one should be fine. You can give it a little tap, no shorts. What I do is I shut it off between tests. Because you just, you know, when you move a tube, when the filament's on, it's more likely to break. So these are made in Great Britain. Heath by Mullard. They're the originals. Isn't that nice? Best tube, in my opinion, best tubes in the world, Mullard. But there's some new tubes that are really good too. but the Mullards consistently over decades made great tubes. That come up. So that one's, around the same, about 76%. Yeah, that's good. Okay. Let's kind of rock it out. And the third 6AU6. That's another one of the same. Let it warm up. So you can actually, if you look from the side, you can see the filament come on. And see, let's try it. These are low hour tubes, I can tell you this, and here's why. It warms up quickly and you can get a good test very quickly. If it were a tube like with a couple thousand hours on it, it would be slow to pull a reading like that. You could hold the merit down and it'll come up nice, it'll come up very slowly. So this actually mimics what the tube does in the circuit. It puts an AC waveform onto the grid and actually measures it, like what the amplification factor is. It's a nice tester. Turn that one off. Now what I noticed is these two tubes, so that's a replacement standard tuner. That's the one that goes right in the tuner. The 6AQ8, I don't think that's on the roll here. Let's just look here. 6AQ7's on the roll, but not 6AQ8. Now sometimes what you can do, see if there's a 12AQ7, 12AQ8. You roll up here, I'm looking over here. No, there is not. So I actually have the manual. I actually downloaded it for one of these. It was the last revision of the index from 1978. And the other tube, which is over here, which is basically the discriminator, the last stage. So made in USA by Sylvania. Interesting. This is a 6BN8, which I don't think is on here either. I just recall because I did another similar tuner a while ago. You gotta know what the settings are because it mimics what the tube does in real life. 6BK, this is all alphabetical order. 6BN6. So it doesn't have a 6BN8. So I'm going to have to look those up, but I think they'll likely will, and this shows you how it works. If there's a problem with it, I will do another video. Otherwise, I'm going to clean the pins a bit and put them back in and see what this sounds like. Thanks for watching and listening.